Mel Jones has joined us. Thank you very much, Mel, for joining us in regards to the T20 World Cup for the women. It is taking part over in South Africa, as we have touched on in the sheds. Now, this is obviously pre-recorded, but you're about to take off in regards to a trek over there and set off for the commentary positions over there in South Africa.
Yeah, look, no matter how many trips you do, you still get to that 24 hours out and you panic about, what do I need to take? Do I need 2 pairs of jeans or 6 shirts? Ridiculous stuff. So as long as I've got passport, credit card, my commentary ears and my laptop, that's all I need. And then I can sort everything else over there.
Just the one laptop, Mel?
No, I have a couple. So I use a Remarkable, which is a new sort of tablet style thing. So I'm sort of trying to get all notes on that, because I used to write all my notes in books, because that sinks in more for me. But then the more tournaments you do, you're traveling with more and more books. So needed to go online. So I use OneNote on my laptop for all my sort of profile stuff, and then Remarkable for day to day.
So Mel, what does your, before back to Mikey, what does your recharge or your charging bag of stuff, bits and pieces look like, please, when you travel?
Lots of adapters. And I'm a person who loses stuff. So I've got to always sort of take an extra one so that I can quickly grab something else, charges, all those sorts of things. So there'll be less and less jeans and shirts and more, charges.
Now, Mel, this isn't your first time to South Africa. Can you just touch on in regards to how many times you've been there, and I suppose your experiences over there, especially with the women now about to embark on a T20 World Cup, and what they can expect in regards to the conditions? Yeah,
it's interesting when you look at the Aussie team. Shelley Nitschke played there in 2005 and we won the World Cup over there. And then it's only, I think, Wolfie and Belzy who went there on a sort of an underage sort of emerging tour way back. So they've missed that opportunity through COVID. They were supposed to travel over there getting ready for this World Cup. So not a lot of experience within the Australian side. I first went over there and worked in development stuff, like I did with Cricket Victoria and throughout the countryside back in '99, and spent three winters over there. Travelled to pretty much every province, did a lot of stuff in the townships, had just the most amazing time. So really got to see and experience South Africa in all its glory. Then 2005 World Cup with the Aussies, and then I took EMP over there on a club tour back in 2013. Where Ed Smith and Molly Strano and Julie Jones is our oldest one. I think she was 80 at the time. She came with us. So lots of good times over there.
Did Nat Shilov go that tour?
Yes. Yep. The whole cohort was there, and they all came back in one sort of shape or the other. It was a learning experience as a manager of a tour, that's for sure.
It's absolutely. Well, so you've touched on the fact that only 3 of the girls have actually been, a couple of the girls have been there with Shelley as coach and the winning team in 2005. Australia's group, Bangladesh, New Zealand, South Africa and Sri Lanka. Obviously New Zealand, the standout opponents in that group. Is there anything that the Australians should be a little bit worried about in regards to that group in getting through the group stages?
I think, if you speak to Meg Lanning, they love being hunted because it keeps them fresh and keen, and they use the word evolve quite a bit as one of their values. So they're always trying to stay ahead of the game. But as we saw in the last T20 World Cup here in Australia, when the Aussie girls lost to India in the first game, you've just got to be really, really wary. And I think it's an alert, not alarmed kind of approach for a World Cup. They play tournament style so well. But the interesting thing for me will be the pitches over there. So they've just had the CA T20 competition, and just whether or not just the wear and tear on those pitches and how that plays. So spinners might be rubbing their hands together a little bit more as the tournament wears on.
Yeah, good point. So just to touch on that from a spin perspective, do you see that as being a strength? I mean, our quicks have been, pretty much the catalyst in regards to our success over the last couple of years, led by Megan Shute. So how do you see our spinners going over there in those conditions, and who do we look out for as being pretty much a smoky in regards to being potentially something that we didn't expect?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Australia to all of a sudden pick Wolfie, Kingy, and have JJ in there as well, sort of thing. It's when you look at the way in which the teams played, particularly against Pakistan of late, and even over in India, there's times where we played 9 bowlers the other day, which
Yeah.
from full nation teams, I think only the West Indies have ever done that. The rest have sort of been associate nations. So there's a keenness, I think, for Meg and Shell to try and see people in different scenarios. I think there's potentially not a concern, but if all of a sudden a Megan Shoot goes down or isn't in form, who's bowling the death overs? So I think Belzy has been tried and used a little bit more in that space. They want to just try and get overs into people just so that they're ready to go over there. So Kim Garth has got opportunities and the like, so that when the plans, they'll have plans, and then Meg on the ground, as we know, Meg she's quite an intuitive kind of person. If she wants to go in one direction, she knows she can.
Tactically there, Mel, that does seem to be a way that the team's adapted in wanting to have an extended bowling list, where compared to on the other side, most of the BBL stuff, they go with 5 bowlers and that's about it, and they try and work their way through those 5. Yet the team here, it seems to be a real strength that they're willing to, and the players themselves are okay that if they only get 1 over or 2, that's it, that's okay.
Yeah, the old you got to check your ego, don't you? This is this is a World Cup. This isn't. Well, the irony, I was going to say this isn't putting your hand up for the Women's Premier League, but maybe it is.
So how much tactically then on the other side, if you're a batter against that, how much does that disrupt what you're trying to do if you don't know who's going to bowl at you?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the big things. If teams aren't getting ready for that against Australia, they've missed a preparation beat. So I think most countries will be saying in their team meetings might have to just go fractionally longer when they're sort of coming up against Aussies to say it's not going to be 5 bowlers here. It could be, this kind of combination in the power play, these in the middle and these in the death, but it could be quite, there could be 4 bowlers, 5 bowlers in those 3 phases rather than just the usual 2 to 3.
So apart from the first game, Mel, which is obviously the blockbuster on Sunday morning our time here in Australia, Saturday night South African time against New Zealand, do you feel that that could be what they think is our best 11 to start? But then after that, do you feel that they'll make changes every game in order to get the flexibility that you're talking about now with Andrew across the tournament? I mean, tournament play, obviously, you said they do it very, very well. Yeah. You're talking about Darcy Brown, Ash Gardner, Heather Graham, Jess Johannesson, Alana King, Taylor McGrath, Elise Perry, Megan Shute, Annabelle Sutherland, Georgia Wareham. There's 10 bowlers in that squad, Mel. So, and I'm sure if Meg really wanted to, she could roll her arm over. But my point is, how are they going to get through those 10 bowlers over? Like, is it a case of we've just got so many aces in our deck that we're just going to keep rotating so that nobody knows what we're going to do come a crunch final?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be about nobody knows what we're going to do. The Aussie team very much, if we think that the 11 we play against New Zealand is then going to be the best 11 going through the tournament, they'll be more than happy to
right.
Will that happen? Maybe not, just in terms of particularly if they make it through to the semi-finals, a couple of key matchups and conditions. If those wickets really are starting to jag a little bit, then the likes of Garth come back, Sutherland, all those, who are those key matchups, and they might miss out in that sense. So I don't think it'll be Australia. They sort of know what they're going to get in terms of pitches and the like. They're probably a little bit less sure over there, so there could be quite a bit of changing. Then, you hate to say it, touch some wood, but then there's injuries and all those sorts of things to come into the mix.
Last question: the bowling here, Mel. What sort of ball are they using, please, for the event? Do you know?
It'll be a cooker.
The Kookaburra. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. So just in regards to obviously Australia's batting, so we will touch on it briefly, but Meg Lanning and Alyssa Healy back after Meg having some time off and Alyssa with a calf injury. 2 very experienced players, obviously been there, done it all, going for 3 in a row. They will be quite refreshed, I would have thought. Any insight in regards to how they're going and what you'd expect out of them? Is it a case of they will absolutely set this alight in your mind?
Yeah, danger, isn't it? Like you would say, who's going to be the top run scorer for the tournament? I think most, we did it for Fox. I think we all sort of Beth Mooney opening up the batting. You just know that she'll, she hits runs for fun. It's hard not to go past that. But when you look at Midge, who's been out because of the calf injury and just champing at the bit to get back in the side, and then it's it is a new Meg Lanning in a lot of ways. Like we've seen her and interviewed her over the summer, and there's there is a freshness about her. There's just a little bit more relaxed in nature about her, and that could be quite scary for opposition. I think she's still got that. I mean, she is one of the most focused and driven people you'll ever know. So if you combine that with a not laissez-faire kind of approach, but just a little bit more, I'm going to really enjoy this. I think that's a little bit of I mean, she's good. She's great. We could see something else this tournament, which is exciting.
It's building up with relation to Meg. If I moved into horse racing parlance, that fresh up from a spell, he's looking very, very, very good, almost primed for this event to really show her absolute qualities that we know have always been there for a long, long time. So,
well, she might be getting called Winks instead of Pat Cummins after this,
Yeah.
And deservedly so.
Yeah.
Now, I will touch on in regards to the other couple of main contenders, but England for me, they've got over there quite early, Mel. So they've already played at least one practice match, which they won by 9 wickets, which was a walk in the park. But Heather Knight seems to have them all up and running. They all seem quite fit. Are they the genuine contender with India in your mind? But I'll touch on England to start with. For me, they look very, very strong across the board.
Yeah, I really like them. And I think there's not that you ever play a tournament for hurt and a bit of, proving themselves, but, it was devastating for them to miss out on that semi-final, getting washed out back in 2020 here in Australia. And I think they had their sights set to play Australia in the final, because I think they really genuinely thought they had the opportunity of knocking the Aussies off. Yep. And I think I look at that squad and then I look at this one and I think they're in a better position than they were 4 years ago as well.
Okay.
A lot of that off the back of the 100 and 2 years of that. These players, you get an Alice Capsey coming through now, Sophia Dunkley, who are not overawed by the big occasion. They've shifted, they've been brave in terms of putting Dunkley at the top of the order rather than being in the middle. They've got some young guns through in Lauren Bell.
Yes.
So, and then you sort of look at, and I'm going to have to get used to this myself, Nat Siver-Brunt and Catherine Siver-Brunt.
Yeah.
So Nat's had time off. She comes back refreshed. Catherine, I keep saying this every World Cup, this could be her last. So I'm not even, it's like Federer and Nadal. I'm not going to say it.
Just stop saying it.
It could be a lot of it. So she wants to, finish off on a high as well. To think that she was in a wheelchair getting wheeled out of the West Indies in 2018, and you never thought she was going to come back. And here she is, bigger and larger than life again. So there's something, be alert, not alarm kind of thing against England.
With England, with their second match though, Mel, they're playing Ireland. You're laughing, right?
That's the men. Don't worry about that.
Could that be a sticky match at all? Could that be
I think, if you're in the media, you might build it up a little bit like that. And I know the Irish well and truly. They've probably marked that on their calendar as an opportunity day as well. So I've just been looking at the Irish stats, and over the last little bit, they've been quietly improving the game in all key facets as well. So they could be World Cups always have upsets and surprises, don't they? So that could just well be one of them.
The English girls do have the number one spinner in the world, Sophie Eccleston. Obviously, left arm orthodox. Will get it into the wicket quite well. For me, she's one of the players of the tournament to really watch out for. Her evolution, Mel, has come quite quickly, I feel, over the last couple of years, where she's really risen quite quickly. Is it just the fact that the wickets are more conducive to the finger spin that you think that the women have been playing on? You mentioned before they've been... this tournament could see us playing on some used wickets, more so than new wickets. Has that been her success, that, she's been able to get into the wicket?
Not so much the wickets, because I sort of look at the World Cups and even tournaments that she's played in, like the 100 and the like. And T20 cricket, they're trying to produce roads for runs, aren't they? So it's almost been harder in a sense for some spinners. But what I think Sophie Eccleston's got, she's got height, so she gets bounce. But she's got a wonderful skill set too. So it's all well and good to get bounce, but you've still got to get the ball to drop. And then should use my left arm, shouldn't I? Gets the ball to drop, but she's also got that one that slides on too. And then you add in the fact that she reads play as well. So she's almost ahead of the game in a sense from that perspective. Also, I'd like to probably put in there whoever is bowling up the other end is creating something for her too. So there's a number of factors in there. She's superb. I think if most people probably have her as the leading wicket taker in the tournament as well.
The other one I've just as a bit of a left field one. Does Amy Jones take the gloves? Or I saw Lauren Winfield-Hill warming up with the gloves the other day and doing a fair bit of work just in their practice sessions. Who do you feel takes the gloves for England?
Gee, I spy. I'm going to have to give you a call before every game. This is brilliant. No, she'll be Winfield-Hill will just be making sure that she's ready to go just in case. So I'd put
Amy takes them
on it that Amy will take the gloves.
India, Andrew, Harmanpreet Kaur, obviously it's her team. They've just come off an under-19 World Cup, so they've got a lot of buoyancy in regards to the Indian system. They've got a women's IPL. How much pressure is on this girl to do well?
Harmanpreet will handle the pressure, no question at all. Absolute professional at the highest level you can imagine. Although, Mel, I'm so excited about Shafali Verma. I just think she might light this up.
Yeah, she could. It's one of those ones I go, wow, it's a big workload for a young player to, captain your nation, and a nation who's all eyes on an under-19 World Cup and winning it. And even post the win, just everything else that comes with that, and trying to park it but enjoy it, because you don't often win World Cups. You want to embrace it as much as possible. And how she manages that to be able to cup and mentalize. I can never say that word, so I don't know why I went there. Put it in its own little boxes and then move on again. So that's going to be a challenge for her. And I think the other one, which we've just mentioned, is the Women's Premier League, and the player auction is on Feb 13 in the middle of the tournament.
Yeah.
As much as you can say, it happens, and then put it aside, this is life-changing stuff.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, people are getting a monetary value put on their game, and people will be going, well, no, you're not worth that much, or yeah, I think you are, And so coaches and support staff managing, and captains trying to manage all that, particularly for the Indian players, is going to be absolutely massive. So they could either embrace it and roll with it, or it could be the little, the kryptonite in their World Cup.
So with the Indian batting structure, Jemima didn't have the best of recent events. A high quality player. Is there any? Does Harmanpreet? Does she stay? Does she shift her role in the batting order given the importance of where this is, or does she just? How would you?
Yeah.
How would you have that conversation if you were in the sheds playing? Yeah. How would you handle that?
It's a big one, isn't it? Because she's captain, and it's not just captain. She's captain of India. So I think people need to realise that that's not like being captain of Ireland, or this is different. It is whole next level, particularly with everything that's going on in India at the moment as well. So the big thing for me though is that your best players got to face. We talk about this in cricket so often. The most amount of balls.
Yeah. So
and depending on situation as well, because she can. We saw it in the WBBL when she was over here for the Melbourne Renegades, didn't we? She wants to take the game on. She wants to be that person, which can be a pro and a con in some ways, whoever's at the other end. But I think if you want to win a World Cup, you've got to at times just go, right, this is my team.
Is me. Yeah? So look, if Harmanpreet, if she can, if the innings structure works out that there's somewhere between 40 plus balls that she's in control of, that's going to influence the game enormously.
Hugely, yeah. And it allows then also for people like Richa Ghosh to come in and just do what she does as well. Yeah. So they've got a wonderful group of players who have an ability and a want to take on the game. And this is the exciting part about Indian cricket at the moment, I think. So allow them that freedom to do that. And Harman can allow that because she can just keep playing and do her own thing, which is fantastic, and will take the game apart. And then you keep getting this flow of players coming through to do that as well.
And then on this, we're actually playing on a practice match tonight, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on decks in Cape Town now, I believe.
Excellent. That'll be fascinating. That'll be intriguing. What will happen there? Okay.
Yeah. Now, the last one I'd just like to touch on, Mel, which you may know a little bit about in regards to your research, is Savani, the left arm quick. Obviously, very talented. She debuted in Australia. I think she debuted in the T20 World Cup in 2020. Yeah. A left armer, nice to see, can create some variation in regards from a captaincy point of view. Is she a talent that we should be watching out for in the sheds in regards to this tournament?
Yeah, without a doubt. It's funny, isn't it? You sort of look at world cricket and left-handers batting wise are coming through in leaps and bounds, but a lot of left arm spinners. But we had Lauren Cheadle come through in 2016 World Cup and sort of set things alight, and then unfortunately with her injury and illness and the like. But there's not a lot.
No.
Hemp in England, and there it is.
Yeah.
So mums and dads, if you've got a youngster in the backyard, pop the ball,
get them going.
Get in there. Definitely keep an eye out. Has the ability to control the ball, has good seam position, and looks as if she's got a pretty good temperament too. When I suppose too, when you've got Aussies going after you, you've got to be able to just cool your jets and know where you want to land the ball. And that's again where we come back to Harmanpreet Kaur, her importance in just managing the bowlers at the top of the mark. Now, sometimes, particularly at the death, you'll find Harman on the boundary line, but I think early doors and power play and things like that, that's going to be critical. Look, a left arm seamer in a competition. We saw that Sri Lanka against Australia in 2020 out of the whacker, and all of a sudden we were 3 for 10 kind of thing. That left-handers again. Here we go. Into the groove of things. So maybe Shelley Nitschke might be in the nets coming off her long run. Just getting used to it.
It's definitely different, and it's exciting. So look forward to it. Hopefully 100%. There's some highlights from tonight's game, and she can do her business and have a really good tournament. New Zealand, Mel, they've had some changes. They've had a few very experienced players depart, but they still do have the experience of Sophie Devine, Susie Bates, Tahuhu, is that how you pronounce it?
Yep.
And Hayley Jensen, who's had time here in Melbourne, and a few of us know in regards to her time at Melbourne Cricket Club. Yep. How do you feel they'll go? Because they've got the big trump card for me in Amelia Kerr. How will the Kiwis go in regards to this tournament?
Yeah, and the other one I'll sort of throw in the mix is Benny Sawyer as now the head coach. So he hasn't had a long lead-in time with them, but he is super, super excited, particularly about their bowling ranks, which as a fast bowling coach, you'd expect that as well. So coming from the Australian system where he's been part of Australian World Cup wins, just, he might be the person just to drip feed those little missing pieces, I guess, to tournament style play. The Kiwis have always been there and thereabouts. Their last T20 World Cup was, one they probably really want to forget. They were close to the Aussies at the Junction Oval, but really the Aussies had that game in control. And you think about Bates and Devine and where they're at in their career, this is probably one of their last big chances to try and win a World Cup. So they're a reasonably well-balanced side. I think if anything, I would look at them and say they would be your upset team in terms of, potentially knocking off an India or an England or an Australia. Things have got to work well for them. But when you've got someone like Devine and Bates at the top of the order, T20 games, it can get blown out pretty quickly with someone absolutely going off, and they can certainly do that. So, I think you're right. I think they're my 4 semi-finalists at the moment. I'm a little bit sad for South Africa and things that have transpired over the last 12 months between Lee, Mignon du Preez, and now Dane van Niekerk not playing in a home World Cup is devastating on so many fronts for the development of women's cricket in South Africa, for the players individually, for the team, for the administration and everything. They didn't quite get that right. No.
So in the sheds, though, that upsets the apple cart, I would have thought, considerably. And I mean, there has been a lot of outside noise. So a young female coming through in the game, you've got to be able to try and put that to bed and put it aside. How much do you think that will take an impact in regards to that in the shed's focus?
Oh, for South Africa?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, they've sort of been managing it for the last, like I said, I mean, they had Lizelle at the start of the England tour back in June, July, Mignon du Preez, 6 months later. So they've been sort of trying to manage sort of the behind the scenes stuff for quite some time. So Sine Luce has been captain of this side now for 18 months. She's been managing that well on a way to us. That great series win over in India. So they've picked up some good wins and being able to manage it as best they can. But you're right, this is a big one, and it'll keep getting brought up by everyone over this World Cup as well. So there's going to have to be some really strong leadership and approaches from the South African side.
Just hope the support around Sune is there, because the expectation of leadership and carrying, yet with her own performance, and she's such a uniquely incredible talent. Just hope that gets a chance to shine through.
Yeah.
Because home, as we sort of saw with the Australians here a few years ago, the home pressure of hosting a World Cup, that expectation is enormous, and Sune's been given the extra few plates on the bar to pick up.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you look at the teams that I've sort of mentioned for semi-finals, they all have a reasonably well-structured domestic system that are allowing players to come through. Now, South Africa still doesn't quite have that. So this World Cup for me is about putting the South African women's cricket on, front and centre in front of everybody, and allowing that to go right. Well, we need to get this domestic system right. So if they, if they don't make the final, can they still make sure that they, get some good wins, sort of that legacy piece out of the World Cup?
In a positive, Laura Wolvaert is, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She is an absolute superstar of this game. I'm actually tipping her to be the leading run scorer for the tournament. On home soil, has a very, very well-equipped game to take down pace and spin, can bat time. You spoke, Andrew, about Harpreet Kaur and having 40-plus balls. If Laura can get 40-plus, Mel, she can light it up. Her with Cup, and then obviously we've seen Ismail out here in Australia in the Big Bash as well. I mean, these girls have had Big Bash experience, and they will know the quality that they're coming up against. I mean, outside, I think their bowling attack was quite strong. They've got 3 spinners. You mentioned Australia's depth with their spin. It wouldn't surprise me if they do create some upsets in regards to that side of the draw. I mean, if they can just get some momentum going, they can actually do okay.
Oh, no, without a doubt. I mean, they just won the Tri-Series against
West
Indies and India. Low scoring, tough deck to bat on. It wasn't the friendliest of decks, but they found a way through Chloe Tryon, who played superbly with a 50 knot to get them over the line. So pieces like that, you go, 100%. And fantastic to see Laura Wolvaert back at the top of the order too. So she started opening up with lead and they put her down in the middle order.
She's a superstar.
Get her up the top. And Madazan Cap's batting as well would have been the talk. I think she was brilliant in the WBBL this year. Cool, calm and collected, has got the game to take on opposition, doesn't get flustered in that sense. And then if Chloe Tryon can do, we always talk about Chloe Tryon being this power hitter, but she's so much more than that. And if she applies her game like she did the other day against India in the final and mixes those two components together, that's pretty exciting. And then, as you mentioned, the other one to mention is Mlaba as well, the left arm orthodox, who's really come through over the last little bit. And we've mentioned on these wickets, but I think I think this is her tournament as well.
It's exciting. Andrew, the other teams, is there anything there? I mean, I saw the Bangladeshis last night on their photo shoot, Mel, and you will absolutely probably have seen this, but the amount of joy and happiness that they are bringing to the tournament already, and we're only days away from it starting, but it's an exciting time for world cricket, and they seem to be taking it as much as they possibly can to enjoy it. Is that a fair call, Andrew?
Yeah, 100%.
I'll probably take a generalist approach here, Michael and Mel, and say that we've got this enormous event about to happen, which will flow very quickly in the Women's Premier League. So this extended window for the best players to be given the chance to shine, to be under the spotlight, and to really embrace all that brings is with us right now. And it's almost like it's a smorgasbord. We can't a smorgasbord of opportunities. And don't be surprised. And as we know, Mel, in these sort of events, a player will pop up out of nowhere. In front of a big crowd on the big stage, and they'll find that ability to release their natural abilities, and all of a sudden a new superstar will emerge. And so really looking forward to what Bangladesh, Ireland, Pakistan, what they can bring to the table as well. West Indies, there's some
West Indies,
and then so
interestingly with Bangladesh too, cast your mind back to the start of last year at the World Cup in New Zealand. They had not Australia on the ropes, but it was sort of like they'd been all right here in a small space for the Aussies. And then Bangladesh under-19s beat the Aussie under-19 girls recently in the World Cup as well. So there's just this, something's bubbling over there.
There's moments there, isn't
moment.
There's moments within games where they're proving themselves to be more than capable. The more experience they have in this environment, it will keep building. It will keep building. So this is going to be amazing. Thanks.
Mel, thank you so much for joining us on In the Sheds. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate your insight, and we wish you a very, very safe travel and trip. And we hopefully will be able to catch up with you. We've got Danny Wyatt coming on, Andrew, also, as well as hopefully Sophie Eccleston. And then we'll be touching base with a few of the Aussie girls during the tournament in order to keep everyone up to date. But good luck. Go well.
Thank you, guys. And thank you for your support of the game too. It's outstanding.